All right, without further ado, I'm excited to see this next presentation, this next thing that's going to happen, because I don't know exactly what it is. I've heard a lot about it, but we've got Hatch Pitch, and at the end of this, we're going to have a runner-up and a winner, correct? A crowd favorite and a winner. And so before we go there, I'm going to introduce Melanie Monique, and I'm going to kind of summarize. She's a lead performance coach for South by Southwest Pitch to training emerging and sustainable energy scientists in communication skills for the United States Department of Energy. Melanie prepares innovators, thought leaders, and creatives to share their voice and vision to the world. In other words, that's what all our young folks need, somebody like this person right here to get them out in front of everybody. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, and it's your show.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, hello, and good afternoon. Can you all hear me? I didn't think so. Now you can. Aha. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Cyber Pitch 2022. If you have someone that is out in the lobby, you need to call them now, because don't tell anybody, this is the most exciting part of the day. Okay? So we are so excited to be here. Yes, this has been brought to you by Hatch Pitch, and as soon as I get the clicker, who has that for me? Yes, and tell me, how do I advance this, the green? Oh, okay, as soon as they get it ready, we will get right into it, but which one, this one?
Yeah, just let us pull it.
Okay, we are about to have a cyber pitch competition. Are you all excited about that? Get excited, okay. And if you are not excited, let me just let you know that we are all, no matter what seat you are sitting in, we all have a front row seat to the future of cybersecurity. So get excited about that. So this is Cyber Pitch 2022. And we would like to thank our sponsor, CYVATAR AI, who has helped make this possible. If you all have not seen CyVatar's booth out in the lobby, please make sure you visit them before you exit the building. Once again, Hatch Pitch is bringing this competition to you. And let me tell you a little bit about Hatch Pitch. Hatch Pitch, oh my goodness, I just remembered. We are celebrating 10 years of hatching this month at Hatch Pitch. All right, and Hatch Pitch, we support innovative startups, specifically in environmental, economic, social, technological advancement, but particularly companies that are making life better. Give a round of applause for Hatch Pitch, all right? Over the 10 years, Hatch Pitch has successfully helped raise tens of millions of dollars for their startups, as well as have had 11 successful startup exits. And so that is amazing, and Hatch Pitch wants to amplify their footprint, wants to continue helping startups just like the ones we'll see today. All right, now let me tell you how this Cyber Pitch competition is going to go. Every team that comes up here will have a 3-minute pitch, immediately followed by 6 minutes of Q&A from our in-house judges. Now, I want to introduce our judges to you in just a moment, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You can be the judge. Everybody in this room has an opportunity to participate in judging the startups that come up here. So if you point your camera, everybody pull out your camera. This is the event where we want you to have your smartphones on, okay? So, but don't have the ringer on. Okay, so pull out your smartphones and you can scan this QR code. And when the QR code comes up, you will see a form. On the form, it will list the teams there. It will give you a space to give each team specific feedback. And this is very important because the teams will see this feedback and they need to know how they can improve, what questions you had, and they even need to know if they knocked their pitch out of the park, all right? And you can vote, but here's the clincher. Do not submit that form until all the teams have gone, because you can't do that because you have to rank them. You're gonna say who was first, second, third, or fourth in your judgment. So remember, you can judge. Now let's get into our judges. We are so happy to have with us Rashmi Kilam. Wave, Rashmi. She's sitting right there. Woo! Now listen to this. Rashmi is an early stage, purpose-driven advisor and investor focused on human and environmental health. She brings in multidisciplinary experience and a diverse pool of social capital for 20 years across 20+ countries. She is deeply interested in biopharma, robotic therapy, sustainability, preventative care, industrial IoT, zero carbonization, mobility, blockchain, and AI-based solutions. So let's give another round of applause for our judge, Rashmi. All right. Next, we have with us Molly Cain. Now, Molly has over 20 years of experience in organizational disruption. We need some disruption, okay? Overseeing large-scale change efforts in a number of industries, including financial, banking, government, and telecommunications. She is the former executive director of a top 10 startup accelerator, former director of Venture for Homeland Security, and today she is the associate director of digital innovation for the IRS, leading one of the largest transformation efforts in the history of the agency. Let's give Molly a round of applause. And then pulling up the rear, I just want to note this judge, Richard Munassi, has been with Cyber Pitch competition. This is your 5th year? That's about right. 5th year judging these innovative startups that come to the stage. And let me tell you a little bit about Richard in case you are not familiar with him. Dr. Richard Munassi is a serial entrepreneur, the managing director of the Tampa Bay Wave, and has been a judge for South by Southwest Pitch, NASA iTech, MIT Solve, Mass Challenge, and more. Let's give Richard a round of applause. Are we feeling like our judges are qualified to judge the startups that are coming to the pitch platform? I think so. All right, so without further ado, we are gonna begin to bring our pitch presenters to the platform, beginning with REKTIFY. And the presenter is Jasmine S. Brown. Brunson, I'm sorry, Jasmine Brunson.
Good.
Awesome. All right, I guess this is, we're gonna start now, right? All right, awesome. Good afternoon. Oh. I hope my time didn't start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jasmine Brunson. I'm the CTO and founder of REKTIFY AI, a Web3 security and risk analytics platform making the world of Web3 more intelligent. Imagine being on the cusp of a decentralized future as more people transact NFTs, buy things peer-to-peer, and also invest in DeFi protocols, just to learn that the risk landscape is so vast. So us at REKTIFY AI are champions of Web3 security, detecting vulnerabilities before they graduate to attacks. So even some high-profile people such as Todd Kramer has experienced his Bored Ape stolen. I mean, NFT thefts are a big thing in this space as the NFT wave has propagated. When we started the company, we asked a series of 100 respondents, how much do you care about risk in Web3? And about 96% of them said that they care. Here are some of the categories where a lot of the hacks, scams, and exploits propagate. Everything from altcoins, DeFi, NFTs, you name it, even decentralized storage. This sounds familiar to some of you cybersecurity experts here. 51% attacks, DOS attacks, and what have you. So the problem is, in the past 2 years in crypto, we've lost $16 billion in hacks, scams, and exploits. And most of that money was lost in the decentralized finance industry. This is an industry where traditional financial services are put on a blockchain. But funny enough, these issues tend to be due to bugs in code, incognizance, and that funny thing called FOMO. If any of you know about Dogecoin, that also was a series of FOMO that was propagated last year. Today, our solution offers a one-stop shop to project development teams and their users. We offer a data portal where people will be able to connect their wallets and look at risk analytics associated with the things that they're invested in. Also, we have the largest API of hacks, scams, and exploits in Web3, all natural language processing powered. And we do smart contract auditing at an affordable rate with high intense quality. As far as customer acquisition goes, I'm based in Austin, Texas, which is a proliferating place where a lot of people are coming into the crypto space and building. We also tend to want to do ad campaigns to get people into this space as well. And then we also have a radio show called Rare Radio on Twitter Spaces. We already proved it. We're building our DApp as we speak. We're building it on the Near blockchain, working with ecosystem partners in Austin, Texas. And we also have the real API already built out and open source on our website. So meet the founding team. We have Justin Stewart, who is a Howard University student studying for his PhD in cybersecurity and AI. You also have me. I've worked at Maxwell Technologies, NASA, went to University of Maryland, literally analyzing adversarial attacks on machine learning models. And then we have Elhan Jama. She's an amazing, incredible woman in the space of Web3 security, and also has her own Unlearning X newsletter where she literally teaches people about this space. As far as traction goes, we already have 5 paying customers already prior to pre-launch. We also have done over 100 customer discovery surveys, and then we also have exposure to clients by way of the NVIDIA Inception program. We've also won Tron Grand Hackathon recently, getting validation from the blockchain space. And also, remember folks, don't get wrecked, get rectified. Here are some of our major accomplishments in the past couple of months. Thank you so much.
So we're gonna move right into Q&A with our judges. 6 minutes for Q&A.
Do you have a question? Can I start? Yeah, okay. Hello there. It was a very impressive presentation, and I love your background and where you have worked. NASA JPL, that's awesome. Kudos to you. I'm from Austin, Texas, too. Well, thank you. Quickly, I wanted to capture a few important things that you see in what you're doing in terms of not only accomplishments, but also your target market. You're saying that you're also going to venture into the NFT accumulators. Tell me, what do you think of that specific market, given all the challenges that have happened in the recent past?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Bored Ape Yacht Club has lost $43.5 million in hacks and exploits, and Mutant Ape Yacht Club lost about $14 million. Azuki, $4 million. So this space, as it grows, more people get into this space, whether it's through Bitcoin, NFTs, what have you. The thing is, we need to create proper safeguards and also education. So like I said earlier, incognizance, FOMO, people forget Web 1 practices where you don't click phishing links from people you don't know. Like, these are the things that happen when you're rushing into the space. And so we're educating people with our Web3 education program. So we have a radio show where we get on Twitter Spaces and talk directly to the cryptocurrency community, right? That's where most crypto people are anyway. So that's the important thing. But I feel like a lot of the NFT folks are on Twitter, right? When you talk about the DeFi people, I mean, they're everywhere. We have more than 4 million, DeFi users. But when you go to these conferences and you're on Twitter, there's a lot of the growth that you can get from our target market.
Thank you.
You mentioned multiple use cases, right, where you guys are pointing towards. I think the first question was pointed a little bit towards a market that seems to be crashing around the NFT side. So where do you kind of regain your focus in order to ensure that you're going after a large and growing market? What are you prioritizing, for lack of a better term?
Yes, we're prioritizing DeFi. So DeFi, like I said, is $12.5 billion we lost, and a lot of that money was due to smart contract exploits. Hence why #1 service is smart contract auditing. So that is a really good service to penetrate, because penetration testing in this space, I mean, it's important and we forget about it, right? And it's a $1 billion industry. So that's what I think about in that terms. But we already have these proof points where we already got 5, customers who got excited about the project, met them at conferences. So the whole idea is bringing in people from the cybersecurity world who might not know a little bit about Web3, but teaching them the ins and outs so that they can do that penetration testing and that smart contract auditing, because they can apply that, in the space.
DeFi in particular is still quite broad. I'm just kind of curious, like what?
Oh, lending and borrowing.
Perfect.
Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. That's exactly what I was asking.
Great presentation. Thank you for that. I hate to be the IRS in here, but here I am.
AML compliance, okay, let's go.
Well, so one thing that we're finding, or one thing that I'm finding, is that obviously we have obligations from the top coming down, wanting to make it a secure and safe place for more and more people to join. That can be a conversation at happy hour about IRS getting involved in that, but
yes.
How are you impacting the corporate side of things? Because those individuals inside the corporations are making decisions without actually truly knowing Web3.
Right.
Are you guys engaging from that perspective, or have you considered it?
So I would say personally myself, I'm like from the Maryland, DC area. So I literally just got back from the Blockchain Summit where we spoke with regulators about this space to get them on board, right? So from a personal standpoint, sure. As far as our company goes, our focus is mainly the end user and also the project development teams in these projects, right? As it pertains to compliance, I believe that regulation is good for the crypto industry. I think this is how we're gonna get especially ahead in the United States, because unfortunately we've been slow with regulation, and a lot of the developers are leaving. They're going to Thailand, they're going to Singapore, they're going to Switzerland. So, I hope that answers your question, but we are 100%, pro-regulation in that sense, because that's what's gonna drive innovation and keep it in the States.
Yeah, it'll be safer too. We don't want to move in. I've been advising our group. We don't want to move in without fully understanding it. So organizations like yours are very valuable.
Thank you.
Do we have one more question? Time?
You have time.
Tell us more about how different you are from what's existing in the market.
Absolutely. So what I've seen, and like I said about us winning Tron Grand Hackathon actually a month ago, we tied with Slow Miss in a different category. Slow Miss is this Web3 security company out of Singapore that started in 2018. We won third place in the DeFi category. They won third place in the Web3 category. As it pertains to how do we differentiate ourselves, it's the data products that we roll out. I think that smart contract auditing is fair game for any Web3 security firm, but the data products that you roll out that is that serves people in the space is what makes it novel. So our data portal, no one has created anything like that, and we are also launching it in Dubai next week. Me and Elhan are headed out there to pitch in front of investors like yourselves. So it's just a matter of the data products and these novel things that you roll out. Even Slow Miss has a whole plethora of projects like Mistrack, where they do AML compliance and XYZ. So it's all about the products, and I'm a data scientist, so I have tons of ideas.
10 seconds.
For one more quick question?
No, we're out of time.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you so much. And we are bringing to the stage Mario Soave from CleverFi.
Thank you, everyone. Pierluigi is from Italy. I am also from Italy, but I live in Texas now. All right. So, let's start. My name is Mario Soave, and I'm the founder of CleverFi. And I'm here to talk to you about the future of Wi-Fi. A Wi-Fi that allows you to connect automatically and securely. Travels has resumed completely. And what changed is that everyone is digital. But what hasn't changed is that when you get to maybe your next destination or an Airbnb, you still have to put the password in, and that's a hassle. Or you get slow internet, and Wi-Fi security is never spoken. Houston, we have a problem. We're in 2022, and we're still connecting to public Wi-Fi that tells you that you're connected to an unsecure Wi-Fi, and we're still sharing password with everyone, and that's a problem. Our solution connects everyone securely and automatically to the most reliable Wi-Fi, no matter where they go. Think of us as the American Express for Wi-Fi. Credit card works where you get your personal number and you have your personal PIN, and you can use that card everywhere you go in the world. And American Express protects you to be safe and secure with those transactions. CleverFi, secure Wi-Fi interaction, so that when you go to the next business and had to use Wi-Fi, you connect automatically and securely. I'm an Airbnb superhost. I've been hosting on Airbnb for over 10 years, and from keeping my customer happy, helping them with their technology struggle, I also had to protect myself. I got involved into some guests that did copyright piracy. They downloaded copyrighted material, and I received those letters from the ISP. But I also had to collaborate with the law enforcement for someone committing cybercrime in my properties. I have a patent granted in the most important major market and pending elsewhere. And the user journey is pretty simple, guys. Take an Uber, connect automatically. Go to your hotel room and connect automatically. And again, at your dinner reservation. And this is simple. Just register an account with CleverFi. We'll provide to you your personal Wi-Fi name and password that you can use everywhere, or you can even personalize and change it to your preference. We can connect with all of the businesses out there, like Airbnb, Uber, and etc. And under the hood, we connect with the internet service provider or the Wi-Fi as a service company. The addressable market, it's really huge. It's $20 billion and is projected to double by 2026. And Skip, and our go-to-market strategy is currently going directly to businesses, but our goal is to partner with all of this company or to license our technology. The pricing model is a software as a service. Let's not get into the number, but it's a recurring revenue for you investor. And the beauty is that we already launched. We are on Airbnbs, in cafes and restaurants in New York and Miami.
Thank you so much. We're going to enter right into Q&A.
Thank you.
Who is your customer that's paying you?
Right now, large Airbnb hosts. So there are Airbnb hosts. Let me put this. There's 7 million Airbnb out there. It's the biggest hotel. 3.5 million are managed by moms and pops. Those are not my customer. 3.5 million apartments or homes are managed by businesses. And they have the headache of managing all of this Wi-Fi, making sure it works, that people don't have a hassle, and they get everyday calls, internet's down, Wi-Fi doesn't work, the guest couldn't connect, there's all kind of problem. And on top of them, they also get the letter that I got of people downloading copyrighted material in their property and also like committing cybercrime in certain cases.
Who will be your second kind of customer?
Great question. The second will be the automotive industry, because like it's an untapped industry, and I already pilot my technology on electric vehicle charge station, where people like basically go and charge their car. They're there wasting, and not wasting, but they're there for an hour. They want to be productive. A lot of these chargers are not in area where you have 4G or 5G because of the parking garage. Maybe the wall is too big, or maybe they're just in the middle, like in Texas, between Houston and San Antonio. The Tesla station doesn't have Wi-Fi, and there's no 4G.
Well, first of all, congratulations for being a part of Draper Home.
Thank you.
I know that you skipped a lot of slides, and there was a lot of information that you want to share.
Yes.
Very quickly, give us a summary of your timeline when you started till now.
So I started before COVID, let's put it this way, with my intellectual property. I filed for the patent on this technology because I knew that it needed to be protected, and I got the patent in 14 months. That's very unusual unless it's very innovative and unless it has a clear point of novelty and a non-obvious approach. That's what happened with me. So I filed for the patent, I filed internationally, and then I decided to launch the startup. Unfortunately, I started like at the end of 2019 and COVID hit. And for me, being like on the travel industry, it was a big hit, but I continued to interview customers. I set up, my system in New York. I, like run a pilot, like a private beta, and I learned a lot from them on what I needed to build. So then now that COVID's over and everybody became digital, everybody needs to be on Zoom some way or another one, they all need my solution. Thank you.
Okay, this could be a dumb question, but I'm going there. If you get hacked, what happens to me on CleverFi?
Right. So first of all, Wi-Fi name and password, they really don't hold any information. It's just like a username and password. And the fact that we deploy them, maybe like in Italy, in Florence, just for 3 days or for one night when you're going to be there, and then you're going to be gone. It's a dynamic system, so it's very hard to follow you and try to hack you through the Wi-Fi. And it's very hard for a hacker to stay like on a property and try to hack everyone, because now the Wi-Fi in the Airbnb is turned off by default, and it only turns on if there is a reservation. And it's always changing. It's like, when you go to an Airbnb, you want to make sure that they have the lock where they change the code, not the code that they be giving out for years to everyone, So that's what they're doing now. Technically, it's very easy. Every time there is a new reservation, you change the code, we change the Wi-Fi.
So that is a very, very good analogy that you should put in your pitch deck.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Because it makes a lot of sense. Next question that I had, when it comes to your IP protection, right? You had mentioned, you glossed over it pretty quickly with regards to where you have patents or whatnot. What exactly do you have patents around?
Great question. So basically, the IP, the intellectual property, protects the ability to configure a Wi-Fi network remotely anywhere in the world based on a personal profile and an action. So like you are going to be in this Airbnb in Florence from June 1st until June 15. That's like your personal information from an action, which is either a reservation or a check-in, can be also checking into a restaurant, buying a coffee, and deploying your personal Wi-Fi password or name and password, depending on the use case, to that place. That's what my technology, what my IP protects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe your third customer could be, I'm seeing like a credit card advantage perk, or South by Southwest.
Or municipality.
Absolutely. So hopefully, not hopefully, we are going to launch in South by Southwest next year, having CleverFi everywhere. And yes, I mean, the whole industry is crowded. I mean, it's a 3.3 trillion economic value. By the way, the Wi-Fi Alliance is actually in Austin, Texas. Great place to be next to them. And yeah, I mean, the industry is huge. I can go hotel, I can go vehicle, cars. I mean, it's really big. I'm focusing on the hospitality just because it's what I know, and because that's where I come from.
Can you very quickly, because I know we're running out of time here,
Sure.
talk about the traction you've gained thus far in hospitality, because I'm sure it's been a little bit difficult in the last 18, 24 months.
So currently, I have one customer. We started deploying on their first 10 home. They have 500 Airbnbs, and I'm rolling it out, as we speak. And like a contract with one customer like this will look like around 50K per year recurring revenue, and then another 50K for services or add-on.
Thinking in a quick question, have you fundraised already, and if so, how much?
Yes, so I fundraised friend and family 100K, 50K from Micro
you so
VC,
much.
and 50K from Draper.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think
That was great timing, getting that last question in there. Right now, we are bringing to the pitch platform Chris McLean of Blue2Factor. Blue2Factor.
Testing. I'm a little nervous. All of a sudden, right when I get up here, I have to pee too. But my company is called blue two-factor, and we do multi-factor authentication that's invisible to the user. So if you're not familiar with the term multi-factor authentication, we're talking about things like this, where you sign in and then you get a push notification to your phone, or you get a text message or an email and you have to type in a code. So at my last job, I actually rolled out one of these, which was a fairly large university, and well, people did not like it. Actually, one of my friends said, "Hey, jackass, you ruined work." So what we came up with was proximity-based authentication, and with registered devices. And what that means is that means if you have another device near the device you're signing in on, there's nothing else you need to do. So if you look at this picture I doctored up, there's the girl with the laptop, but she's got her cell phone nearby, so she doesn't have to do any second-factor authentication. We developed this for a long time, and just last week we launched in the App Store for iOS and macOS, and we're kicking off our first company next week. So why are we better? We're more efficient. You don't have to have your employee jump through hoops. We're more secure. There's no second factor phishing. And just as a general process, I don't think employers want to encourage their employees to check their phones. I mean, sometimes when I get that second factor notification, I click yes, that was me, and then I go back to work. Sometimes I click yes, that was me, and then a half an hour later, I'm watching some guy ski down his roof. So we're a B2B company. We're going to target large organizations, and we're going to charge per user per month for single sign-on and invisible multi-factor authentication. It's a large market, and there's been some large exits in the past few years. We're raising a seed round right now, which will help us build out our engineering team and give us, let us not worry about fundraising till the middle of next year. So our management team is me. I was a long-time senior security engineer at Cornell, where I focused on identity management. And before that, I worked for TIAA and IBM. And I guess if I can leave you with one thing, it's that in the last few years, authentication has become tougher.
Thank you so much,
But it really
Chris.
needs to be better.
It's time for Q&A.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you so much for your presentation. It's very impressive. Tell us a little bit more about who do you surround yourself with, what kind of advisory board do you have, if you have, and what kind of team you will have going forward to scale the company?
Well, my main advisor board are people I know that I worked with in security at my last job, as well as my younger brother, who's a professor at South Carolina, and then a friend of mine who's in finance.
And team?
My team right now is just me, but we're going to grow. So we're looking, like I said, we're looking for engineers, so I can focus a little more on sales, and that can help build out our platforms.
You had up there on the screen a couple of pretty entrenched competition, Duo, for example,
Yes.
which is horrible. But just kind of curious, your take. How do you displace those if you're going after a large enterprise, or are you going after SMB or middle market first?
I think first of all the market's growing, so you don't necessarily have to displace them. You just have to look at what hasn't taken hold in the market yet. So I think medium and small businesses are realizing that they have to place a priority on authentication and cybersecurity in general. So I'm kind of getting a little away from the question, but I think we're a better product. So I think that's one way to go after their market. But also I think the market is opening up. So it's doubling every 4 years or something. So there's going to be opportunities. But whether we're going to target the exact same companies, yes, we might.
Okay, thank you very much.
So you're one of my favorite kind of founders because you solved a problem that you had and your buddies had at work, probably. So I appreciate that kind of work because you're seeing the problem up close. How have you thought about how you're going to get past the theatrical safety feeling of authentication? When I get a text and hit it, or when my mom gets one and hits it, we feel safer. So when you bypass that, do you see that as an obstacle?
I don't know that everybody feels that way. But yes, I think there might be a learning curve. But also, if you understand that there is something going on, and maybe this is more secure, obviously the text message situation isn't all that great.
So maybe, is there like a little icon or something that tells me that I am authenticated when I'm on? Maybe that's something that could do it.
So
Okay.
if you're on your computer, there's an icon in the toolbar that says, okay, you're connected or you're not connected. If you're on your phone, there is also.
I'm sorry if I missed this. Is this run through Bluetooth, near field communication? What is the?
It's run through using Bluetooth Low Energy.
Are there cost savings in the time that you've calculated?
I haven't calculated them, but there's definitely cost savings in time. I mean, you're not having to fish around for your phone. You don't need to worry about, not having your YubiKey on you. You don't really need to worry about anything because it all happens so automatically. So another thing I didn't mention, but we're doing these verifications, constantly. Versus now, you're doing it once in the morning and you're good for the rest of the day. So
That would be, maybe add that to the pitch at some point of cost savings, because when you're talking to a large corporation, that's going to be a really sexy selling point of, if you've got 3,000 employees, here's the amount of time they spend authenticating, et cetera, here's your savings.
Here's your future advisory board member.
Can you talk a little bit about IP protection around this? Or what have you looked at thus far? Is this protectable? Someone else maybe already have a piece of it? Just kind of curious.
Sure. And I'm certainly no expert. So I have a friend of mine who's a patent lawyer. So I've spoken with him, and he pretty much said, file a provisional patent. And so I'm in the process of that. You actually have to apply for a customer number. And I wrote the patent or the provisional patent application, but I haven't filed it yet. I'm waiting for my customer number. But I did notice on the USPTO site, they have terrible authentication. So that's, if you want to hack something, try that.
We have one more question.
So when do you get your first customers, and who are they?
Our first customer is a company called KeepAware, and they are going to join us next week, and he's presenting next.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. I don't even know what that means. You ask the question and then that's the next person to the platform, right? So Ryan Boner from KeepAware, he is here on the pitch platform, and you're ready to pitch.
Yep.
Let's go.
Can you hear me?
We can.
It sounds really good in here. Hi, I'm Ryan Berner, and I'm the CEO of KeepAware. We're promoting continuous awareness and also securing organizations through every workday. Our KeepAware platform already has 5 deployments with 2 organizations as customers. If you've been at the conference today, you know that all of the leader panels have come back to one thing, and that's user protection. I have built and implemented security tools, specifically network security tools, over the last 5 years. And when it comes to the insights they provide, the employee is often neglected. That's why 1/3 of data breaches are from compromising people, from credential theft and phishing. This is just a little acknowledgement here that everything we do today happens through a web browser. They talked about that today as well. You might agree there's not a whole lot you do outside of it. And when it comes to all of these user-facing threats, they have one common link, the web browser. But it's a huge security blind spot for companies today. All systems are human at the endpoint. And that's why we're focused on protecting people, and that's why we've started by securing the browsers they already use. Through our browser extension, we offer deep behavioral analysis that's focused on the user. And we continuously educate employees as they run into dangerous situations. Like our competitors, we try to block the bad and allow the good, but we know that there's that gray area, and that's where we're pointing out red flags and indicators to employees to inform them about the risks they can't see behind everyday activities. Think Grammarly for security. For IT directors and managers, they can quickly deploy, investigate, and respond to these threats in real time without disrupting the business. And we've started by securing small to mid-market sized companies, and we license per user per month. And our first customer is a law firm. We believe that professional services in general face a more pressing issue of a potential data breach, but our opportunity just begins there. With our own deployments, our work experience, industry feedback, and the panels today, they tell us this issue remains at large, especially with a shift to more hybrid work environments. We've got the team to do it too. I said I've got the security engineering background, but we all know that in order to build a more secure workforce, we need tools that are user-facing and that people love to use, and we can do that with our team. The two next steps for us are developing a repeatable sales process and further validating our product. The browser is really just the start to creating more intelligent, employee-facing security solutions. We keep hearing this more and more, that cybersecurity threats and cybersecurity are not IT issues. They're issues that are embedded into every person's story. And so as cybersecurity threats have elevated globally, the education of the individual needs to rise with those tides. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's time to dig right into Q&A.
Test, 1, 2, every great presentation. Real quick question. You had targeted, or I'm sorry, you presented that a law firm was your first customer.
Yep, we're based out of Austin, and our first customer is located there.
Got it. So, I mean, is that going to be your go-to-market strategy, professional services firms, law firms in particular? Because that's a very hard group to sell into because, you know, the vertical's behind the times, for lack of a better term. Definitely.
So we're really approaching professional services in general, so accounting, engineering services, tax. But yes, we've talked with multiple law firms. It is a difficult place to be in because of, you know, regulations and things, but that first customer is proof that we can do it, and that's where we're starting. But again, huge issue here.
Any particular thoughts on going to tech companies with large distributed workforces? Because they would also probably adopt this much faster.
Definitely. So I've got my sales team here, and they actually wake up early so they can call the West Coast because that's where those companies are. You know, 50 employees and no server room, no closet. Everyone's on a browser. It could be their own device. It could be a managed one. And so definitely, yes.
I'm class of 03, so I already like you a lot. I see your Aggie ring. So how do you cut through the clutter? And because security is a very common sales item that comes parading through the door. How do you differentiate?
Right. It really comes to the architecture of our solution. So there's no one out there today that's analyzing pages embedded into every activity like we are. And we know that threats will always get to the user, and it comes back to that approach and the architecture. So instead of building this, you know, impenetrable wall, we know that can't exist. So we need solutions that are a part of that activity and can break it down on that individual decision level.
Ryan, thank you for the presentation. I really like what you're doing. You said kind of Grammarly for the internet. Well, that's awesome. Tell us, what kind of browsers would you work with? And if possible, can you give us a demonstration of what it looks like?
Yeah, definitely. I don't have a presentation here today. I'd love to connect with you. But really to break it down, we deploy to Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, really anything on Chromium as well. They all support the same code base, so that makes it really easy for us. When it comes to what the user experiences, it can be a variety of messaging that the team can customize and that we pre-build. So that can be tooltips over individual logins. It can be banners on the page. We do offer more traditional web filtering capability with full splash page locks and screens that restrict a user from visiting a phishing page that we detect. But ultimately, we're planning to expand the different ways that we can interact with the user and almost create a heads-up display, if you're familiar with video games, for security.
And tell me, why wouldn't someone like DuckDuckGo value what you're doing?
Right. So our approach is all about understanding the organization. So each organization we're tied to is siloed off so that it can understand which apps, which sites that their employees visit, and that's a large part of our detection. So we know that it's the first time anyone in the whole company has logged into that site. These large consumer brands just don't have the capacity to go after individual businesses and silo that data. They're really after that consumer market and doing that on a broad level.
Can you plug into any previous history to get a jump start on those activities or histories for those users?
Our current product doesn't right now, but we do have that capability in terms of the APIs we can use to connect to the browser.
And then one follow-up quick question before handing it over to Molly here for her question. Sorry. When it comes to staying on top of threats and new threats, can you walk through your system and how it, quote unquote, learns?
Right. So for every activity, we reach out to our own API. Half of a risk score, and we calculate a risk score for every single activity, is back to what's normal for the organization. So we do aggregations with various time windows to understand how rare that is. And then half of it's the behavior of the page. So what scripts are loading? What is it asking the user to do? Can we detect the intent here? So we're really focused, again, on that behavioral aspect, and that'll help us make more broad policies that aren't necessarily after catching a very specific Microsoft example.
I might be translating it differently, so correct me. Are you extremely high touch with your customers? Are they heavily reliant on you and your services and support right now?
Correct. So we have the ability to push out what we call patterns to their environment, so these detections, and we template the messaging and things provided to employees so they can easily toggle, yes, we want to notify for sensitive data use cases, but we also offer all the engineering features. Just with my background, I love tools that do that, so that's available too.
Can we have an offline judge ask a question?
Are there any questions from the offline judges submitted? There are no questions right now submitted for him from the offline judges. Would you happen to have a question for this team, Michael? He does not. Great.
One question for me, probably last question, I'm assuming.
Yes.
When it comes to your company life cycle, you have one initial customer. Have you done fundraising? What does that look like from a roadmap perspective, and where do you want to be, let's say, in 12 to 18 months?
Right, so we actually have two customers. One's a city government in Arkansas. When it comes to our roadmap, we're currently taking part in Generator's accelerator program in San Antonio. So they've invested in us, and we're using that to really propel us for the next 6 months. At some point in that period, we'll raise a seed round.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Give another round of applause for those innovative startups. Now, I want to remind you that you can be the judge. If you weren't in the room before, if you didn't get a chance to scan the QR code, now is your chance to scan the QR code, and the form will appear, and you can begin giving comments, feedback, real-time feedback, real feedback to these startups that came to the pitch platform today. I want you all to know that these 4 finalists were selected from a pool of hundreds of applications, and so they are the creme de la creme. However, I want you to also know that we have one more pitch, and this was our runner-up. He was so good that we had to have him come with 1 minute pitch. That's really hard. 1 minute pitch with no slide deck. Give it up for Mina Gergis of Blocmount. I think the mic is there.
Thank you so much. So our society and our economy and many aspects of our daily life depend on the correct operation of critical infrastructure. And when it comes to critical infrastructure, you think about utility companies like power, gas, oil. Also, you can think about manufacturing, especially in the pharmaceutical sector, and also about defense applications. Many of these sectors employ control systems. And control systems allow you to basically control the process using feedback from sensors as well as from the environment. Currently, most control systems are connected to the internet because vendors and operators would like to manage their equipment remotely. Moreover, when you connect control systems to the corporate network, you can actually get a live feedback of the data and you can see what is going on and optimize operations. We know that cyber attacks are becoming very intelligent. They can actually infiltrate these systems, and we've seen the impact of these.
Thank you, Mina.
You're welcome.
Thank
My
you
company.
So much.
All right.
I don't know. Raise your hand if you've ever done a pitch in a pitch competition. Okay? Now raise your hand if you had 1 minute to do it. Okay, then you know the fear and the horror. 1 minute is very, very tough, and we want to thank Mina of Blocmount once again. All right. Question, before we move on, does anybody need that QR code again? Well, meet with Mina in the lobby. Mina, are you available in the lobby? I want to encourage all of you, meet with Mina as well as the other finalists in the lobby. Ask the tough questions. You know how sometimes judges don't ask the real deal, like what you're thinking? Well, here's your opportunity to meet with them in the lobby or at their stations and find out exactly what it is that you want to know. So from this point forward, you're casting your votes. Votes are being tabulated. And while votes are being tabulated, we want to bring up once again our Cyber Pitch 2022 sponsor, Corey White from CYVATAR. And I am so excited to bring Corey. This year's theme was diversity in cyber. And I love to see the diversity in the room. I have loved hearing the diversity in thought, and we want to hear a little bit more from Corey. Let's hear it now.
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate you having me. So, again, in front of all the drinks happening in the happy hour, so I'll make sure we wake everybody up and talk a little bit. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to give you a little bit about CyberHouston, my background, and the cybersecurity industry. So I've been blessed to have been in the cybersecurity industry for the last 27 years. Yes, I started in 1995, and I was at South by Southwest, and I was talking to all these Web3 people. I even met Jasmine there. So I was talking to these Web3 people, and they're like, Web3 needs to be secured. And I'm thinking, we haven't even secured Web 1 yet. So wait a second, we're doing this all wrong. So a little bit of my background, when I say we haven't secured Web 1, I started out penetration testing, doing assessments, doing installation and configurations. One of my first gigs when I started consulting back in 1996, and Scott and I worked together back in those days, and it was at Floor Daniel. My job was to connect them to the internet. Second largest construction company in the world, I was connecting them to the internet. So that was a challenge. The next thing I had to do was put in a firewall, put in the first firewall, figure out how that worked. Then I continued doing installations and assessments and all that. Then I joined a company called Foundstone in 2004. That's where folks like George Kurtz and Stuart McClure, Kevin Mandia had just left. So Kevin Mandia now works for Google, a billionaire. He sold his company for $4 billion. And George Kurtz at CrowdStrike. So worked with those folks for a long time. I started doing incident response, penetration testing even further at Foundstone. And I realized, and I did a really big hack, and I did a few big hacks, but one of the big ones you may know about, first one was when Google got hacked, 2009, I got that call. And our team was up there, and we called it Operation Aurora. And we were responding to that incident, trying to get that resolved across about 30 companies up in the Bay Area. And I realized we're just still doing things wrong. Because again, I was running installation teams. I was running penetration testing teams, and also running globally incident response teams. Then I did another big incident in 2011 when Sony got attacked. Okay, this was before they won in 2014. So I did the first one. And I had done their assessments, and I had done their incident response. And then the Sony executives in New York said, Corey, we're an electronics company. Why are people coming after us? And I said, well, this is hacktivism. You pissed off a PlayStation hacker, and so now you're being attacked. But at the end of the day, us doing the assessment didn't stop the attack. We had told them what their vulnerabilities were, but you got to fix it. Now, I'm not picking on Sony. I'm talking about everybody. When you do a security assessment, you actually have to fix it, okay? But here's what's broken about security assessments. It's a point in time, okay? It's the equivalent of saying, I left home today, and I closed and locked my door, but I only do it once a year, okay? You have to do cybersecurity on a continuous basis. So when I used to do penetration testing and hack in, it was fun. We get in like less than an hour. That didn't actually solve the problem. So a lot of my customers were getting hacked. So 2012, Stuart McClure said, hey, let's start Silence. I was employee number 12, one of the founding executives there. So we brought AI to the cybersecurity industry, which was amazing. But we ran into one big problem. I was running services. Most people didn't know how to install and configure an AI-based solution. And so they were allowing malware to run in their environments. That was a problem. So I built a team to go and implement it for them, and that helped solve it. But here's the problem. Here we are in 2022. The number of cyber attacks are increasing, 15% year over year, okay? There's 4,500 cybersecurity companies out there right now, and growing. You heard a few pitches for some, so and growing. Why is it getting worse? And we're spending $150 billion. As an industry. Does anybody know why it's getting worse? Go ahead.
Just an idea of its complexity. The complexity of the systems is just going up and up.
Okay, complexity is too hard. Okay, anybody else? Scale. Okay.
More connection points.
What was that?
More connection points.
Yeah, connection points. Everything is connected, IoT. What about this? Have you thought about maybe the cybersecurity industry, we're not trying to stop cyber attacks? Anybody agree, disagree? Why is that happening? OpEx. Anybody else? Let me ask the question. Are we trying to stop cyber attacks? Let me ask that.
No.
No? What did you say?
We're just blocking them, right?
No, blocking will be stopping. I wish we were blocking. We're reacting to it. Has anybody heard of the phrase detect and respond? Managed detection and response? Anybody heard of that? Scott, what is managed detection and response?
Just the ability to understand when you've been hacked after the fact.
Oh, okay. Well, hold up. They got something new, a newer version of that called extended detection and response. Guess what that is? Instead of just the way I do it in a non-technical way, think about your home. So I have a Ring camera at my house, but I don't close and lock my door. I just get an alert when somebody comes in my house. That is detection. And then the response is somebody has to kick that bad person out of the house. But if I'm a cybersecurity company, I make money off of the monitoring, I make money off of the appliances, I make money off of the incident response when you get hacked. There was one quarter when WannaCry hit, my division alone did 20 million because the whole internet was under attack in 2016. Okay, we made a lot of money off incident response. So we have to rethink how we do cybersecurity. Because if we don't actually block, if we don't actually stop attacks, the problem's going to keep getting worse. So I personally had to fail. A lot of my friends are CISOs. I had to fail to figure out how to actually do it right. So I'm challenging everybody in this room to think about how can we actually solve cybersecurity and not let cybersecurity be like the drug companies. Okay? Literally, I was trying to get some medicine from one of my kids, and I had to jump through so many hoops just to get the medicine. It doesn't actually solve the problem. It's just a patch of it. It's just more of detection and response. So we have to rethink cybersecurity. So with that, I'll just finish with, I started CYVATAR as a way to actually solve the problem. You want to be secure? Use multi-factor authentication. You want to be, that's the number one way, and whoever was presenting earlier, that was great, because that's the number one way companies are compromised. Second thing is phishing. Okay? Email security and blocking, easy way to do it. There are easy solutions to solve this. It's equivalent to closing, locking your door at home. So just think about it. We actually need to stop these attacks as opposed to feeding the industry and detecting and responding. So thank you.
Thank you. Come and join me up here. Corey, please come and join me. We are excited to announce the winners of Hatch Pitch Cyber Pitch 2022 competition. Can you believe technology today? Like, I'm standing here and I know who the winner is. Did you all see me to talk to anybody? Like, no. All right. So Corey, come join me. And Corey, I'm going to have you announce the judge favorite. So first of all, we want to thank all of our finalists. You all did excellent pitches. And the judge favorite for today is, come on, give it to us.
CleverFi.
Congratulations, CleverFi. I want to encourage you all, if you have more questions, comments, or curiosities for CleverFi, meet him in the lobby. Suave is his name. All right, and it would be my pleasure to announce the crowd favorite. You here in the audience, you voted for, oh, look at that suspense. You voted for Keep Aware. Keep Aware, you won the crowd favorite. Congratulations. Thank you once again for attending.